One giant leap for Flash, one giant step for mankind. And yes, I said that backwards. So one giant step for Flash, one giant leap for Flash kind. And I say that because today is the anniversary of the moon landing. And that's where I am today on my way to the moon. And take a little trip a little field trip from the Prose Garden. My name is Francine Witte. We welcome you to the Prose Garden. My co-host is Meg Pokrass. You'll meet her in just a few minutes. We have a wonderful lineup of readers today. I'm so delighted that they all said yes to our invitation, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So just to warm up the space today, um, I'm going to read a couple of pieces, and then Meg will read a couple of pieces herself. Today, because I'm focused on the moon today, I thought I would do that. So, Midnight on the Moon. Midnight on the Moon is a lonely place, black as the end of hope, like a rocket that ran out of fuel and places to go, like a man who down on earth just swore undying love to his wife and sees his lover's face on the wall behind her. The wife is a trusting thing, a planet hanging in the sky of his life, faithful and constant. She will always be there for me, he thinks. The man is happy, and the wife is happy, and miles away, even the lover is happy. Only the moon is lonely. Only the moon sees the truth, even with the sun shining all day on its squinty eyes. The man swears his love again. The wife believes him. And then later, much, much later, in the white, gauzy near morning, he will enter her like doubt. And the second one is this was Kim Chinkley had a very nice book dedicated to the eclipse. Remember, we all were so obsessed with the eclipse last April. So this is called Slide of Moon, and this piece was in there. Slide of Moon. Slowly across the sun's yellow flower face, and we can't help but gather ourselves wisps of ghostly dandelion spores. We are clustered, our necks tilting away from the flat earth of our everyday. We cover our eyes with special glasses, dare to peek through pinhole viewers, and we briefly remember that we are little more than bits on a galaxy sash. We are flyaway and passing, flicked off the moment we die. But here we are today, for this one single held breath, with songbirds going silent, and we huddle back together into that single organism we were maybe meant to be, brought together in the day dark as the moon closes off the sun like some giant held up thumb. The eclipse and us going total, and we aren't scared, not even for a second. And then the whole thing passes back to normal, the moon going back to its part of the sky, and we scatter back apart like some unseen wish breath was blowing on us. We go back to our separate lives, the fear of death eclipsed again, like always. We forget the fact that one day, billions of eons from now, the sun will be hidden again, fade like a dying flower, blacked out forever and gone. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're in the thick of it now. So I'm going to turn this over to my lovely co-host in the UK, Meg Pokrass.
Thank you so much, Francine. Those were so beautiful. Thank you so much for reading them. My piece isn't about the moon, but what the hell? Here it goes. It's called The Benefits of Krill Oil, and it's going to be in my new collection, The First Law of Holes, which is coming out from Dejank Books in September. The Benefits of Krill Oil. My pharmacist smells like the old Wonder Bread factory, and though forbidden to smoke, he does. If I were dying, I'd break the rules too. Across the street from Duncan's pharmacy, where I work, is a fancy new organic food market. I try not to shop there, it's expensive, but I'll admit to being taken with a long haired cashier who doesn't remember my face. You, young lady, go and have some goddamn fun this weekend, Duncan instructs. But I don't like leaving the shop before he does these days. Sometimes he forgets to lock up. Anyway, I don't have fun at night unless my Cuban neighbors invite me over. Walking along the sidewalk to market, there are tiny beads of herbicide in the cracks, but no one walks. Spencer the Magnificent, I'll bet you don't remember my name again, I say, standing in front of the cashier, holding my lunch, which is, once again, red tuna sushi. Once I asked him if he was from Florida. He wasn't. Yes, I do, he says. Then what is it? He stands there, hands on hips, flipping his long hair behind his shoulders, pressing a finger against his full upper lip as if thinking. Well, my whole family's this way. We all suck with names. No worries, I say. I remind him that my name is Polly and that I work right across the road at the tiny antiquated pharmacy. I tell him Duncan has lung cancer and soon the pharmacy will be gone. I need to become more memorable to him and quickly. Someone will probably turn it into a doggy nail salon, I say. He does not seem to find this amusing. Maybe he has no sense of humor. I've become fond of red tuna rolls and tofu chocolate pie and will miss buying them daily. He will continue checking out women's balanced meals and herbal cures. He will smile at them and say, excellent choice. He will remember their names. I look down at my bracelet hanging loose. I've been reducing since Duncan let me know about his condition. Nearly a size 0, even my arms have dwindled. I never want to work anywhere else. It will soon be my birthday, and to celebrate, I will talk to the checker about the health benefits of krill oil. I am not a whale, I'll say. I don't understand why krill oil would be good for me. Maybe this will amuse him. I'll shock him when he sees me buying 2 slices of tofu chocolate pie. At the window that faces the market, I can see Spencer talking animatedly with a new pretty employee. She resembles a golden doodle created to appear a certain way. Her corkscrew curls are angelic but phony. She doesn't even cast a shadow on the asphalt. Even from here, I can see Spencer's cheeks have turned pink. Perhaps he's shy around women he really likes. I tell myself that when he ages, he'll look like a rooster. Someday, this period of time when I worked for a dying pharmacist will be a weird memory. It will have very little significance to me, but I'll remember the way my boss cared about me and how young the cashier across the street made me feel. A feeling like that is hard to replicate. Nobody really knows why good people disappear. Thank you. And I'm giving it back to you, Francine, my wonderful co-hostess, who is truly the mostest.
Thank you so much, Meg, and that was a beautiful story. So I want to just take a minute and acknowledge some of the people here in the Zoom room because I know, gee, there's about a half a dozen things you could be doing right now besides being here with us. I want to say hello to Liz George, Joanna Tice, Margaret Hertz, Pamela Painter, Jeff Harvey, Luella Lester, Sarah Freely, Monica West, Nasser Hajo. Thank you so much for being here with us today. It's just lovely to have you. So I'm going to start with the first of our 4 features. We have 8 features today. And the first reader is Swetha Amit. She is the author of 2 chapbooks, Cotton Candy from the Sky and Mango Pickle in Summer, an MFA graduate from the University of San Francisco. Her works appear in HAG, Flash Fiction Magazine, Maudlin House, Bazak, Oyez Review, and others. She lives in the Bay Area with her husband and daughter. And please let us know where we can buy your books, Swetha. Okay, Swetha Amit.
Hi, thank you, Francine. That was wonderful. Great reading by you and Meg. Yeah, so today I'm going to be reading from my chapbook, Cotton Candy from the Sky. I'll post a link once I finish reading. And the story I'll be reading today was published in Maudlin House last year. It's called Cotton Candy from the Sky. When I was little, I would point at the sky and ask Mama, if I could have that cotton candy fluff. Sometimes white, sometimes pink, and occasionally orange. They would constantly be whizzing past furiously. Is there an ice candy man in the sky? I would ask. Mama would shake her head and hand me a cone from the vendor in our neighborhood street. It was fluffy, pink, and sweet, with a strange tinge of bitterness. Did the vendor put enough sugar? I would ask. It is the way it is, Mama said. I would then long for the cotton candy from the sky. Would they taste sweeter? What would it feel like to hold those puffs of fluffy colored marbles in my hands and dig my teeth into them? Would my tongue turn pink like it did whenever I tasted the pink candy Mama bought for me? I would spend days staring out of the window up at this world of white, orange, and pink, wondering how and when I could go near them. I would watch them form into different patterns, shapes, and sizes, while my house was filled with days of endless arguments between Mama and Papa, their high pitched voices, slamming of doors, clanking of pots and pans, and Mama sniffling in the kitchen. I wonder why they could not be happy like other families. I would stare at her red eyes at dinner time, wondering if a cotton candy from the sky would make her happy. When Mama and I were on a plane, I asked her air hostess wearing pink lipstick if I could have the cotton candy from the sky. She pursed her lips and looked at me as though I had told her there were roaches in her wavy black hair. Mama explained about my strange fascination, and they both laughed. The air hostess handed me some popcorn instead. I stared out of the window, wistfully wondering what it was like to be a part of that world filled with resplendent hues. When the plane stopped, Mama was snoring, and the air hostess said it would take a while before the plane would start moving. I asked her if I could go for a walk in the clouds. She just looked at me and said, I should return in 20 minutes. I stepped outside into the world of blue. The sky squelched under my feet. I tread carefully as the whiffs of cotton candy swarmed around me. I then saw the ice candy man, black currant eyes and a toothy grin, dressed in hues of pink and purple, with bright orange hair. I asked him for a pink cotton candy, and he handed me one. It was soft and sweeter than the candy Mama bought for me. The sugar rush made me feel as though I could float. Then he handed me cups of shaved ice, orange, pink, red, and yellow. Later, we watched a resplendent fish blowing bubbles in the air and talked about my troubles at home. I asked if he would visit my house below, and he promised to get me more shaved ice and cotton candy. And I promised to pay him then and return to my seat when my mother was still catching her 40 winks. The day my father left home, the door slammed and my mother sobbed. I looked longingly outside the window at the puffs of white and pink. Then I spotted something falling from the sky. Pink, red, orange, and yellow icicles. I put my hand on it and caught a cup of shaved ice. I licked it and felt that taste of sweetness. I looked up again, waiting for the ice candy man to come. It was the cotton candy from the sky I wanted. Thank you.
Beautiful, Swetha. That's beautiful imagery. Loved it. Thank you so much. And don't forget to put your link in the chat. And thank you for being here with us at the Prose Garden. Swetha Amit. Next, we're going to hear, oh, and make sure you look at your comments in the chat. Like lots of people said nice things, so I'm sure you want to read it. Next, we're going to hear from Kathryn Silver-Hajo. Her work was selected for the 2023 and 24 Wigleaf Top 50 Long Lists and nominated for the Pushcart Prize. Best Microfiction, Best Small Fictions, and Best American Food Writing, and appears in many lovely journals. Kathryn's books include award-winning flash collection Wolf Song and novel Roots of the Banyan Tree. Welcome to the Prose Garden, Kathryn Silver-Hajo.
Thank you so much. Delighted to be here, and I love the whole concept, and the name is wonderful, Prose Garden. I love it. So you can find my books on my website, which is KathrynSilverHajo.com, if you would be interested. I just put it in the chat. So I'm going to start with a one-sentence prose poem that was published recently in the recent issue of Syncopation Lit in their Paris-themed issue. How can we not be in love? As long as the city of light glimmers with glamour and the cherried warmth of wine flows erotic, wafting of Arabica beans, roasting, or fierce sweet sting of absinthe, summoning the contemplative iconoclasm of esoteric satie, scintillating in your cerebrum, delirious as an embrace, a taste, a cuisine, even auter than couture, promising the crackling redolence of confit de canard, the bright surprise of a confiture of raspberries gathered in the apron of a cerise-cheeked lass, only barely aware of modern legacies of Napoleonic conquests, carving, colonizing, spreading a paradoxical variety of joie de vivre across far-flung lands, a creamy swipe of brie atop baguette's crusty crunch and give in one hand, a rifle in the other, a moment of delight followed by a distinct bitter aftertaste. Though recent memory dwells on yellow vest protests, immigrant ghettos, the banning of hijabs, yet in spite and in light of all, we linger at a sidewalk bistro festooned with umbrellas of red or white, pastis in sturdy glasses, the tack of Gruyere oozing croque-monsieur perfection, coating teeth and tongue as a mustachioed gent squeezes his wheezy accordion for selfie happy tourists on a day so pleadingly blue, smelling of magnolias and a putt-putting Peugeot. How can we not be in love, even if Satie is long gone, though eternally resonant? The coffee is more lait than cafe, and there's still a hint of smoke in the air from across the Seine, where we once watched the white-clad faithful carry fronds of a Sunday as a couple strolled arm in arm debating Roussel or Ravel, and we are still in love with the idea of love and know that we always will be. This one appeared, thank you so much. Thank you. This one appeared in a recent issue, fairly recent, a few months ago, of New Flash Fiction Review. Very different tone here. When Bibi and Kumar met Halloween night at the Lizard Lounge in Vegas. She was dressed as a belly dancer, all fake silver coins and gauzy material. Cheesy for sure, especially given her Afghani heritage, but she had the outfit already, so what the hell? Kumar, clad head to toe in body-fitting snakeskin, had slithered around drunken revelers to reach her, looked into her green hazel eyes with his flaring amber ones. With such confidence, her knees buckled. He coiled his arm around her bare waist, led her to the bar, ordered 2 green lizards. She favored gin over tequila, but Kumar made her feel wildly adventurous. His sibilant manner of speaking and agile hips made her want to try new things. Even their names resonated, reminding her of an ancient Afghan fable. She wouldn't tell Kumar for days that Kasta Kumar was an actual snake who married a thorn gatherer's daughter named Bibi Nagar, that the story got really complicated, involving him turning into a gorgeous human in her bed, jealous sisters who burned his shed skin, ruining everything, not to mention rivers of pus and blood and other weird shit. She didn't want him thinking she was contemplating marriage or getting him into her bed, which she totally was. But when she recounted the story, he was mesmerized, said his parents were Indian, not Afghan, but still. Once again, he was snakeskin swathed, though she was in jeans and a tie-dye t-shirt. They'd both had too many grasshoppers when Kumar hissed in her ear, "Say, sexy, let's slip this saloon and sleep under the stars in the sandy desert." Bibi replied that she was up for nearly anything with him, but the one traditional thing about her was the no sex before marriage thing. "Simple," said he. "It's Vegas. Let's say some vows together." She teased back, "Such a silly ceremony, sir, but sure." So it came to pass that Bibi and Kumar wed and set out to consummate their love beneath the gibbous moon. He wound around her by a sheltering dune, but before her horrified eyes, he sprouted fangs, forked tongue darting towards her parted lips. She recoiled from the snake formerly known as Kumar, wailing, "No, this isn't how it's supposed to end." Bibi ran through the night, the wind whispering that the star-crossed lovers had got it all wrong, and the curses in the original story were happening in reverse, and she'd best flee this place on fleet feet, forget that snake of a man. Thank you. How am I doing on time? All right? Good, okay. This one was published in Ghost Parachute a few months ago, Visiting Grandma. At 15, going on 16, you board the Boston to Baltimore alone for the first time. It's pure liberation when you wave goodbye to your overprotective mother and overly handsy stepfather. Your eyes flick past old brick factories, ferry docks, kids diving off wood pilings into trash and jellyfish-studded waters, fishing boats, tenement buildings, rusty fire escapes, the George Washington Bridge, skyscrapers, and the rocking, clickety-clacking sends you dozing until the train whistle and the conductor announcing Baltimore, Baltimore, Maryland, wakes you. And then you're there and in a cab and at her stucco house with its red bud, dogwood, fern plantings, and scent of tea roses. She's been in a wheelchair since a mishap with black ice last spring. She seems older than last time you saw her, limbs like branches, long veiny fingers clutching a cigarette, smoke curling up around squinting eyes. Every day, the local grocery delivers a steak or chicken breast in butcher paper, a few new potatoes, asparagus spears, fragrantly fresh ground coffee she'll drink black. Maybe a pint of peach ice cream, if she's in a sweet mood. You lean down, smell nicotine and unwashed hair as she kisses your cheeks, says, "You've gotten awfully pretty, haven't you?" You shrug. 5 o'clock, martini time. 2 shots gin, 1 vermouth, and olive in a V-shaped glass. "One for you too," she winks. She won't tell if you don't. Earlier, she'd called the neighbor, Tom or Jim or something, for help with a cranky light fixture. When he arrives with his toolbox, you zigzag to the door, let him in. She introduces you, makes small talk, offers him a drink he declines. "My granddaughter will show you," she says. You swim to her smoke-infused bedroom in Ely waves, pointing to the faltering lamp, taking in his English lavender scent. You study Tom or Jim's middle-aged profile and slightly rounded midriff as he kneels by the lamp. Maybe I will show him, you think. Everything about him says family man, but your brain is swirling like a roller coaster ride, and you want to stand up in the bucket and feel the wind rushing at you, the whole world staring. What if you say, "Hey, Tom or Jim," stand in his path on the floorboards, whose knots and grains are eeling now too, and you dare him to, you don't know what, but you'll think of something. Now he really does look up, sees that fevered look in your eyes, smiles just a bit, and rubs the back of his blotchy neck. He keeps looking at your swaying self, and after like an hour, he chuckles, not unkindly, but in that annoying, all-knowing adult kind of way, and you know you don't stand a chance. He unplugs the lamp, takes out his tool, fiddles, fidgets, plugs it back in, snaps his eyebrows, and says, "Let there be light," and there is.
Thank you so much, Kathryn.
Sure. Do I have time for the 100? the 100-worder?
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay?
No, we're fine. Go ahead.
It's a very short one. It's just quite apropos of our current time, so I thought
Oh, please. Yes. Mm-hmm.
This one appeared in Many Nice Donkeys a few weeks ago. What a 17-year-old aspiring artist packs after the ban. iPhone with Frida Kahlo hard case. Comfy sweats and Hershey's Kisses. Baby picture of her tucked inside dad's jacket with mom's arm around them on Galveston Beach during Tropical Storm Dean. Dumb romance novels from BFF Ashley for the trip. Sketchbook and charcoal sticks. Ripped pictures of No Ball's ex-boyfriend Timmy stuck together with tape. $565 in small bills, savings from Walmart job for the past 3 years. Felt bag filled with pumps, heavenly soft fur. Heating pad, big bottle of ibuprofen for after. Application to Colorado College, phone numbers for Planned Parenthood and Motel 6. One-way bus ticket to Denver.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. That was wonderful. Kathryn Silver-Hajo. And I really liked your squeezing the wheezy accordion. That just jumped out at me. And all the S sounds in the second piece. And a lot of people commented on that in the chat. That was a beautiful reading. Thank you so much for being with us here in the Prose Garden.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Kathryn Silver-Hajo. Okay, next we have, oh, and by the way, I like to read along with the reading. So I've turned on the captions. I urge you to also, because it's kind of fun to read them so you don't miss a word. Go to your more where it says captions, just say show captions. I find it kind of fun to read along. So it's like, oh, I thought it was another word. Okay, great. So there's that. Okay, next we have Gary Fincke. Gary Fincke's latest collection of flash fiction is The History of the Baker's Dozen, was published in August, this is last year, by Telekinesis Press. His long-form collection of short stories have won the Flannery O'Connor Prize and the Elixir Press Fiction Prize. His next book will be 17th century poetry collection. For now, we have been spared, scheduled for early 2025 by Slant Books. He has been co-editor, along with Meg, of the annual anthology Best Microfiction since its inception in 2019. Welcome, wonderful Gary Fincke.
Thanks, Francine. Here I am. Jeff has COVID, recovering from COVID, and I'm the one who was supposed to read a month ago and managed to fall off an embankment behind our house and break 6 ribs, as it turned out. But I think I have enough air to do this today. Francine mentioned the 2 books. One of them came out this past week. After the Locks Are Changed. That's from Stephen F. Austin. You can get it from Texas A&M Consortium or else all the places online. And The History of the Baker's Dozen, August 6th is the publication date for that. Everything I'm going to read is from that book. And that's from Telekinesis as well. Thank you all for attending here and listening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read 3 stories. They're gradually get shorter, and there are 3 different points of view: second person, third person, first person. Make it a classroom, I guess, in a way. First one's called Albatross. After 25 years and an hour of cash bar drinks, the ballroom-sized venue is stuffed with chatter and assessment. From classmate to classmate, you listen to the stories fat with nostalgia or self-regard, all of them rooted in achievement. You nod and smile and sometimes spew your own stories, pleased by the attention. Your wife, who graduated 1,000 miles from here, has slimmed down for the evening, as if she is here to discover your past. She listens more closely than you to what your classmates say. She follows your eyes from woman to woman. More than an hour it takes for the classmates you dreamed about in biology, chemistry, and physics to reach you. After graduation all summer at the pool, she was a lifeguard, but you only imagined her in a swimsuit because you worked a union factory job. Also, if you were honest, because you couldn't swim. Regardless, your wife is comparing her to the yearbook photos you have shown her more than once. You feel 16 again, nearly afraid, but she talks as if you were more than a dreamer, plunging into her story about another boy who could not swim. Hand over hand, she says. That boy must have edged to deep water along the dock that claimed part of a lake for the summer camp where she worked after college. No matter the reason, he'd lost his grip and gone under while she scolded another boy for running, adding a minute between her whistles for buddy checks. Last warning, she quotes herself saying to the running boy, "Don't let me see that again." For 22 years now, she says, her dreams often have soundtracks of whistles and screams. Always there is water with shadow, a still life. She wakes with what feels like a heavy weight yoked over her arms. Twice each night she rises to check the breathing of her 4 children who sleep paired in 2 rooms. A trilling in her ears insists that she evaluate the pillows, examine the chests for the temporary relief of rise and fall. You don't mention a word about how, though you still can't swim, you have practiced CPR on a dummy called Mike Muscles, bringing him back from the dead with your hands and breath because you coach something as landlocked as a tennis team. Imagine yourself watching a boy dragged from a swimming pool, the class instructor had told you. Imagine your well-trained hands on his chest is the only way to resurrect him. Now, you don't say a word at all, but you notice she is looking at your name tag, her mouth forming and then reforming the 3 difficult syllables of your last name. As she begins to turn away, your wife says, "Michael and I are both so sorry." The woman lays one hand on your wife's arm. "Safety is impossible," she says, her voice hushed as if speaking only to your wife. There's no shame in the inability to comfort. The second one of these, give credit to one of the, I still mentor some students in our creative writing program at the university. And this one from 2 years ago gave me this story, basically. She couldn't stop talking about it. It's called Beauty. When Shelley gets to college, she learns that money is as necessary as her half of a room and prepaid cafeteria meals. That most of her classmates used money like air and water repeatedly without thinking, expecting the same from everyone else, including her. Sure, there was menial work available in the cafeteria with a maintenance crew, or a bit better as a clerk in the library or department office. But at minimum wage, Shelley shelved books and updated magazines for 3 months without changing anything. 2 weeks' wages spent in 1 day. She heard about the escorts scattered among older students. She didn't have the body, she thought, or the face, or the indecency. But she remembered how often her feet were praised, how when she wore sandals, someone would say, "You're so cute down here with your painted toenails and smooth skin." She could model a job that had potential. An entrepreneur now, she made a portfolio. She submitted her feet. For a week, she expected agencies to contact her, or Etsy sellers who needed promotion, shoe companies, podiatry websites, some site besides the ones popular with creeps. For another month, she waited. She used that time to investigate. If only the weird would pay for her feet, she needed to be sure they never found her. Anonymous wasn't a perk. Sure, The site charged a 20% fee on all her sales, but it didn't require an ID, something even protected, impossible to perfectly secure, even with an anonymous email and only digital payments. She trimmed her toenails. She practiced poses, the varieties of color and design, glitter, the ways to seduce and please, how much to charge. If she resisted additional exposure, she was selling such a small part of herself that it wasn't like selling at all. No different than cleaning up after the rich and careless. Souls were desired, close-ups, spread toes were admired, arches sexy, curves created when she stood on her toes, or her feet in heels, one sleek shoe dangling near jewelry, flowers, or lit candles set along a marble floor. Her mother had always said, "Show your best side." There were men who hungered for exactly that. They paid to dream, leaving her untouched and unknown. She would never tell on herself, not this beauty she'd become, the best part of her adored. And the last one's quite short in the first person. It appeared in a 100-word story, so that'll give you a clue about its length. How my mother posed me. The photographer instructs my mother to hide under the dark maroon blanket to hold her infant still. It takes time and quiet for your darling to be perfect, he says. In all of his portraits, she sees that nothing disguises the shape of the mothers, the way the cloth narrows at their heads, the taut geometry of their laps. Regardless, she lets him cover her and cradles my body through cotton. Loose threads stroke her face. She sweats throughout the lengthy shot, laboring in the darkness to aid the wonder of permanence, holding her breath to become inanimate for love. Thank you all for listening.
Wonderful, Gary Fincke. And I'm just going to say, even with a couple of broken ribs, you managed to be everywhere, Gary. So
yeah,
it's really wonderful. It's wonderful. Lucky for us, we get to.
I have breathing exercises. I do. Yeah, thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here in the Prose Garden with us, Gary Fincke. Okay. Next reader is Julia Strayer, who writes. 1 second. Hang on. That's plug in. Julia Strayer. We'll lose everything here. That was a real moment, folks. Julia Strayer writes haunting stories of longing and loss where nothing is quite what it seems. Her work has been selected for the Best Small Fictions and Wigleaf Top 50. She's a submissions editor at Smoke Long Quarterly and teaches creative writing at New York University. Julia Strayer.
Thanks so much. And thanks so much, Francine, for opening the door to get me back into the flash fiction world. I've been working on a novel that is not really behaving itself, and I haven't really written a lot of flash, and in the last few months have started again. So this is very exciting to be back to what feels like home. I have 2 short things, both written in first person because I'm not as talented as Gary, and I think everything I write is in first person. I'll have to take a look at that and maybe fix it. Mm-hmm. This first one is from New Flash Fiction Review, and it's called Boy Things. I scuff through the woods waiting for hips that won't come. Heel toe, down the length of a fallen tree. Roll a rock, pill bugs, millipedes, the smell of earth. My breasts finally made an appearance, large enough to make clothes look different. My best friend has big boobs and a boyfriend who's always trying to cop a feel. Around a patch of stinging nettles, way around because some things deserve space. past an old oak with gnarled roots that remind me what it takes to grow that tall. Step, step, step along one root that serpents above ground and below to the fort constructed of saplings bent together into a teepee tied at the top, leaves for walls. Sit on a tree stump across from the Henry twins, 2 years older, talking football, holding a deck of cards. You're late, they say, strip poker. Whatever, just deal. One man handles the shuffle, squeezing half the deck in one hand, shoving with the other. Some cards bend. The ace of diamonds falls and he clamps a shoe on it. I shake my head and pick it up. Give me those. And I shuffle a perfect arch that ruffles like a clipped card against the spokes of a fast-moving bicycle wheel. Cut the deck one-handed and deal. I am good at cards because I know I need to be better at boy things than boys are. I can pull cards from the bottom of the deck, place a card where I want it. After 30 minutes, they're sitting in white briefs, and I'm short one shoe. Their underwear tight enough to show the outline of whatever they keep in there, shifting, growing like some sort of animal. You're cheating, they say. I say, they're your cards, and I reach for my shoe. Game's not over yet. We haven't, but I bunny ear my laces and pull tight. I've seen enough. But we haven't seen any. And I say, then you should have been better at cards. They grab at me, but I roll under the leaf walls and run. They chase, but these are my woods. And I'm fast as a deer, leaping, swerving, sprinting, and I'm gone and I don't look back. I learned everything about boys when I was 5. My mother told me to play with the nice boy next door. He lured me into his garage, damp, smelling of oil and dust. And the last one I'm going to read is one that was just recently in Jellyfish Review. And it's called Hello. My mother says she kept falling over when she was pregnant with me. And I say, all the time? She says, no, when I ran, I was so embarrassed. My mother doesn't run, ever. In fact, not running is like a religion for her. I only saw it once. Her hands held up in a lazy under a rest pose, alternately pushing at the air with each hand like a cat making biscuits. Only she was running, sort of. She said, we played baseball with the other couples in the apartment building. My mother does not play sports, ever. And when I ran, I couldn't compensate for the weight of you and I fell over, but no one knew I was pregnant yet. I was only 6 pounds at birth. My mother is a tiny person. If no one knew, then she wasn't showing. And as usual, none of what she says makes sense. You fell over because you fell over. Running just isn't your thing. Nope, she says it was you. And that's how it all starts. And it never really stops. She gives birth to my brother 8 years later. She says, I never fell with your brother. And I said, you never ran. She said, I'm sure I did. I said, it wasn't me that made you fall. She says, I think it was. My father keeps quiet. He is a runner. He never falls. We took you to a friend's house for dinner, she said. You reached for the fancy Jell-O mold. It was bright green and beautiful, and you poked it with your finger and made it shake. I was so embarrassed. I say, I don't remember this. She said, you were 1. And this embarrassed you? A 1-year-old touching Jell-O? Yes. And she clucks her tongue and shakes her head to emphasize how great an embarrassment I am. And at a certain point, I just do whatever it takes to embarrass her. I wear black, lots of black. Don't you want to wear something preppy? No. Something pink or green? No. We could get these matching dusty blue corduroy sneakers and wear them together and be 2 peas in a pod. I say, how about we get matching Doc Martens and be 2 peas in a pod? And she clucks her tongue and shakes her head. She tells my father he can't take me shopping alone anymore because he buys me black. My father keeps quiet. He likes I am my own person. I leave for college and I never call. So she deposits voicemails. Hello? This is your mother. Call me. Like I won't know my own mother's voice. I marry and move several states away. My mother is disappointed I don't take my husband's last name, which begins with the letter D. This is your chance to move up in the alphabet. And I'm like, why is that important? She clucks her tongue and can't even be bothered to explain the significance because it should be obvious. Hello? This is your mother. Call me. And maybe it's because we give what we need. I call and say, hi, what's up? And she said, who is this? My father dies young, and my mother dies inside, stops caring for the house and property. And I say, you've let it all go, and now you have a vulture living in your backyard. Doesn't that embarrass you? She says, everybody wants a vulture in their yard. I say, no, they don't. She says, I don't see why not. And I said, they eat dead things. And she said, so do we. Hello? This is your mother. Call me. And I call back, hey, what's up? She says, who is this? What kind of mother doesn't know her own child's voice? Or what kind of child has a voice her mother doesn't recognize? Is it her or is it me? Years later, after the stroke, she can't remember what she ate for lunch or where I live, or that she already asked me twice about the weather. She also can't remember how to make a call, so I phone her. And I say, hi, Mom. So she'll know who I am. And that is it.
Wow.
Thank you for listening.
I'm sorry, Julie, I just had to catch my breath there. And I'm so glad to hear that you're writing Flash again, because I consider you truly a gift to Flash. So please continue to do so.
Thank
That
you
was a
so
wonderful
much.
read. That was a
You've
wonderful
always been such a great, kind person, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I love your stories. Everybody, go Google Julia and read some of her other stories, okay? And then you'll go, yeah, Francine was like telling the truth there. So thank you, Julia Strayer. So now I'm going to turn this over to Meg for the second half of our show, the next four readers. And take it away, Meg. Meg Pokrass.
Thank you, Francine. Those were amazing readings, everyone. Our next reader is Daniel Addercouth. Daniel Addercouth grew up on a remote farm in the north of Scotland, but now lives in Berlin, Germany. His work has appeared in New Flash Fiction Review, Tramset, and Vestal Review, among other places. You can find him on X, Twitter, at Rural Unease. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi there. I'm so happy to be here. This is such a great honor. I love the Prose Garden reading series. I'm going to read a couple of short pieces. Coincidentally, they both feature animals, which I've been racking my brains. There was some writer that said you should always have an animal in the short story for luck, and I can't remember who it is. If anyone can help me out, pop it in the chat. Okay, so the first piece is called The Good Prizes. This appeared in New Flash Fiction Review, and it's also been selected for this year's Best Small Fictions, which I'm very happy about. The Good Prizes. Claire's father gives her more coins for the claw machine. There's a stuffed Pokemon she wants to win. These things are designed so you can never get the good prizes, her father says. He wouldn't have given her so much money before, not when Claire's parents were still together. She might have got a couple of pounds if she was lucky. But he seems to have more money now he's working as a taxi driver in town. At least, he's always buying Claire stuff. She liked getting presents at first, but now she's not so sure. It was her father's idea to come to the amusement park. Claire used to like coming here with her parents, but it's not the same this time. She wanted to go on the roller coaster, but it's too wet. It was a stupid idea to come here in the winter, Claire thinks. Her dad said maybe they could go on later when it stops raining, but it looks smaller than Claire remembers, and it seems to be just little kids queuing up, so she's not sure she wants to. The metal hand closes on air for the fourth time, and Claire decides to give up. Even she can see she's not going to get the toy. She turns around to tell her father, but he's not there. She feels a moment of panic before she spots him by the video games. He's walking slowly towards the empty chair of a car racing machine with his cotton handkerchief spread between his hands. She remembers how she used to like the smell of aftershave on his handkerchief when he was living at home. It's then she spots the bird perched on the chair's headrest. It must have flown in through the arcade's automatic doors. She guesses it might be a sparrow. Her father once taught her about the different types of birds, but she's forgotten everything. People nearby have turned to watch him. Claire wishes he would stop. She's glad no one knows they're related. Her father gets closer to the chair, and then, in an instant, the bird is trapped in white cotton. Before the onlookers even realize what's happening, he's striding towards the exit. Claire pauses and hurries after him. The doors begin closing behind him, but change their mind and open for her. She gets outside in time to see her father throw up his arms. Nicely done, says an old man. The sparrow, if it is a sparrow, shoots up into the grey, clear sky. Thank you. And the second story is called Origami. This appeared in a magazine called Broken Spine. And this is just one sentence, so I'm going to try really hard not to rush this. I think I have the tendency to go a bit too fast. But okay, origami. That was the day you took me to the deserted shopping mall, which was closing the following week, with all the stores shuttered and signs in the windows saying where the businesses have moved to, if they've moved at all and not just given up after the gleaming marble dream of the mall had evaporated. The symbol of boomer prosperity steamrolled by the convenience of ordering hoodies online at 2 a.m. after a few white claws. And we're walking around in the sticky heat where the air conditioning either broken or switched off, the management not even pretending that business is continuing as usual. Because for this place, business will never be usual again. And I feel like getting an iced coffee, but nowhere is open. And you need the restroom. Unfortunately, that's still open. And as I wait for you, I notice someone's left a cardboard box outside this abandoned craft store. And amid the ceramic pumpkins and artificial flowers, there's this perfect origami fox folded out of stiff orange paper. And I take it and hold it lightly in my cupped hand. And when you come back, you lead me down a side passage. And I demand to know where we're going, and you refuse to tell me. And by this stage, I'm irritated and keep saying, can we just go home? And you keep saying, in a minute, I just need to do one thing. Then we're in front of this one store that's still open, the last oasis of commerce in this retail desert. And I can't even tell what it is because the sign's already been removed. But it doesn't look like anything special, or even the kind of place you'd want to enter. But you insist we go in, and I'm thinking, now he's really gone crazy. I'm feeling a bit scared. And inside there's a counter with this decrepit old man, and he greets you by name. And I'm like, how does this dude know my boyfriend? And he hands you this little box, gives me a twinkly look, and I turn back to you, and you're down on one knee with the box open, and inside is this ring. And even though the diamond's small, I know how much it means because it must have cost you a month's salary, if not two. And afterwards, I hug you and start crying right in front of the old jeweler. And I smell the sour milk of your sweat and feel the dampness of your back through your t-shirt. And the cold metal of the ring feels strange, but just right on my finger. And I hold you as tight as I can. And I'm still cradling the origami fox in my hand, feeling the sharp corners of the folds and making sure to keep my grip loose. Because at that moment, it feels like the most precious thing in the world. Thank you very much.
Those were absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for reading them. And it was a great reading. Your pieces are so quietly moving. And I'm just amazed at how you get there without saying it directly. It's been really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meg.
Next up is Kalliopy Paleos. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Kalliopy. Kalliopy studied contemporary American poetry at SUNY Brockport. She recently completed her third full-length novel translation from Greek. Publications include Mediterranean Poetry, Ergon, Magazine for Greek American Arts and Letters, and the Ekphrastic Review. Forthcoming publications include Poetry with Gnashing Teeth Press and Flash with the wonderful Flash Boulevard. Welcome, Kalliopy.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here among you all. I'm going to be reading 3 pieces. And of course, I have to give a great shout out to Sarah Freely, in whose workshops these came to light. And I also want to thank so much Francine and Meg for your amazing encouragement in the different workshops we've taken. It's been absolutely lovely. So the first 2 pieces are sort of dystopian pieces, I guess, associated with the educational world. And I do teach in public school, so please don't tell on me, because I don't want to lose my job. Yes, thank you, Francine. Here we go. Getting called down to the guidance office. You've got those cheekbones, Mom used to say. You'll always be safe. I don't know. Wherever she is, she'd better be right, because counselor's going to pound me. Second infraction. That means both sides of my head. I heard he says turn the other cheek when he hits, but who knows? Beetle always says shit like that. Goddamn Deacon set me up, giving me all the feeble signals and turning on me. No sense telling counselor that. You're supposed to smell it, he'll say. And he's right. I've said it myself to every single one of my trainees. That's how I do it. I look them in the eye and say, want help figuring out who's weak? Let me help you. Then before they know it, they're on the ground. If they can breathe before I let them, I haven't done my job. I don't know. I mean, I was so proud, leading the chant in the gym yesterday. You don't really know what it's like till you live it. Seeing all those faces on the bleachers, everybody's heart really in it, singing together. Cream the weak ones, wipe out their lights. We have to get rid of these parasites. I mean, I felt it. We're a best community, for God's sake. I'm goddamn junior kill marshal. I love to feel those soft little necks give in to my cleats. And counselor knows my last kill was barefoot. I'm fucking Marshall and he knows it. I heard he backs off if we go at him. Show some muscle, Beetle said. Maybe, I don't know. And why did Deacon snap? I mean, they took his sister for testing, but he should be proud of that. Man, what the fuck do I say? And the second piece is getting a little older here. The Hadley Residence for Honors Society Females. Greenie's tits look so beautiful when she wears those pearls. And I have to admit, with those glossy taffeta ruffles, you can't take your eyes off her. Lately, it's always my turn to clean her room. She said I can have a few of her old dresses, but I have plans of my own. Last term, she started with Sylvia. They scratched each other's eyes out over that Angora sweater. Little Vivi won't share? She'll have to learn her lesson. Now Sylvia's beau is flooding Greenie's mailbox with scented letters. Of course, Sylvia's a wreck. Keeps saying, like I care or something. Even House Mother Wilson notices her puffy eyes at breakfast. Still, no one's going to cross gorgeous Greenie. Last week in the parlor, she whisked her frilly new skirt in every single one of our faces. Here's my new signature move, she drawled. Nellie fell over herself, saying she was swell, but Tara's fed to the teeth. Why don't you show some modesty for once? But Greenie just sharpened her claws on that. Ma pauvre tata, tame that green-eyed monster. You'll never pass for the demure type. But tonight's my night to learn what all the fuss is about. Greenie snuck a boy named Eduardo upstairs. Eduardo. Her bed thumping right through the ceiling. And we all fall in line chatting away over tea with Wilson so she won't notice. When I answer her signal, Greenie smirks at me. Hello there, ugly duckling. Show my friend to the kitchen door. Then she makes those eyes at him. Coke's night off, she whispers, cheeks still pink and hot. So in the dark, right before the landing, I slip on those pearls, put Greenie's own gleam in my eye, and smile at him just like a kitten. Call me Eddie, he whispers, vanishing into the garden. So the third piece is more from family anecdotes. It's amazing what you can hear when you're hiding under the kitchen table as a little one. Here we go. Where is it? There it is. Why she got back late from the attorney's office. because she looks just like Jackie O and Onassis has just died, because he looks like the young Omar Sharif, because she can't read the long words on the documents and won't ask him as she would have before. Because yes, the alimony and the girls' college, he promises everything smooth as Brill cream, because he knows girls don't go to college. Because he has already moved all his clothes to the boat, told her she could throw away everything else, or burn it. He laughs, he doesn't care. Because she scans the typeface carefully to make sure it says divorce somewhere, which a friend had written down for her in English on the back of an envelope, and which she secretly studied in the cab on her way there. Because the appointment is over, and downstairs on the sidewalk, he offers to take her home. Might as well. Because in the car, he says he knows a good place to have one last drink, just to say goodbye. Because it's in an expensive hotel, the one he uses with all the other girls. Because he wants to leave her sore for 3 days, just like their wedding night. Because his parents had forced him to the altar to keep away those lurking backdoor girls. Because he hates her perfect face, eternally pristine, no matter how many times he fucked her. Because he smiles at her softly now, like he never has before. Because all he wants is to watch her cry one last time against the satin headboard where all those other women, languishing happily, have waited for him to come back from the fancy bathroom. Because he had seen her staring hungrily at the documents before signing, her lips silently sounding out the magic word she was looking for. Because when she looked up from the drying ink of her signature, he'd seen fresh flint in her doe eyes. Because finally something had penetrated, and she was no virgin anymore. Thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you so much. Those were such powerful stories. I was really caught up in your characters. It felt so real. And I just loved the way you read them and the way your characters came to life. I mean, your voice and your performance were really wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, well, next up is Mary Grimm. Mary Grimm has had 2 books published, Left to Themselves and Stealing Time. Her stories have appeared in the New Yorker, Antioch Review, Helen, the Citron Review, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Tiferet. Her story collection, Transubstantiation, oh God, I'm getting this wrong. I knew I would. Transubstantiation is forthcoming in fall 2024. Currently, she's working on a series of climate change novellas. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Meg.
Sorry.
It's okay. You know, I'm actually, you know, have been regretting that that's the name of this collection. But see, now it's already, you know, in galleys. So, you know.
Well, you know how much I love it. So
yeah.
I can pronounce it.
And also, it's like just so Catholic, you know, but whatever. Yeah, it's coming out October 15th. I just found that out like a couple of days ago.
Wow, exciting.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so thank you, Meg and Francine, for asking me to read. I'm very, very pleased to do that. And I'm reading 3 pieces. These are from a series of cousins stories that I'm writing, and they're based very loosely on you know, the relationship and escapades of my sister and me with these 4 cousins that we were very close to. Okay. War and peas. The oldest cousin wouldn't eat eggs if the yolks were runny. Her sister wouldn't eat lima beans. The curly hair cousin likes to eat donuts with a fork. When all 6 of them were around the table, it was noisy. They were rowdy, the mothers said, and also that they couldn't hear themselves think. The fathers went down to the basement to look at their tools and maybe to drink a couple of shots in privacy. When they were all around the table, they had long-time jokes in a semi-secret language. They elbowed each other and dropped silverware on the floor. If they were being nice, they'd trade food so that no one got stuck with something they didn't like. If it was something they all hated, they tipped spoonfuls of it behind the metal bookcase that held a dozen ancient cookbooks. It was a known fact that the red-haired cousin wouldn't eat anything green, no green beans, no peas, no broccoli. She couldn't explain why green was so terrible. It was as if she had been born in a fairy tale where the evil godmother stood by her cradle and cursed her to never love green. Once at the baby cousin's birthday, there was a pistachio ice cream, which was as green as a dish of peas, and the red-haired cousin cried because she loved ice cream, but it was green, and because she hated green all the more now that it appeared as ice cream. And she sat there until it melted down to soup, and they all went out to play soldiers under the cherry tree. Water babies. They all took swimming lessons at the YWCA, except for the boy cousin who wasn't a W and who was taught by his father because he didn't want to go to the M by himself. They were divided by age so that the oldest cousin and the curly-haired cousin were dolphins and the others were sunfish. The boy cousin said that he was a shark, but this was unofficial. First, there was putting your face in the water. You didn't have to open your eyes, but they all did, except the baby cousin, so they could see the underwater land where the water was like air, except it was blue and it trembled and bounced. The black stripes on the bottom of the blue stretched out into the unknown of the deep end. Then there was treading water so that you could keep yourself from drowning if you didn't finish your swim lessons, although drowning was not specifically mentioned. Then there was the front crawl, also known as the Australian crawl. The boy cousin claimed he didn't have to learn this because crawling was for babies. When they were changed out of their bathing suits, hair wet and dripping down their backs, they went to the Peter Pan snack shop to eat ice cream sundaes. They all agreed to tell the boy cousin exactly how many scoops and how many sauces and how many poisonously red cherries and who got an extra squirt of whipped cream because the waitress said her daughter had red hair and redheads had to stick together. When they got home, the boy cousin said that he and his father had gone to Akron, where they fed deer in a special park, and that he had gotten to ride on the one that had the biggest antlers. But they didn't believe him, even though he was the cousin who was most likely. He wasn't, sorry, the cousin who was most likely to lie. A steady state model. Their grandmother was the first dead person they knew, although they hadn't known her very well. She was old and often spoke in another language. The oldest cousin claimed that she understood her when she spoke in Slovak, but the others didn't believe her, except for her sister, because they always stuck together. After the funeral, where they had had to kneel by the coffin and look at their dead grandmother's face, as pale as a white crayon, there was a party at the house with their uncles drinking shots in the kitchen. The cousins escaped to the backyard. No one noticed if they went into the garage, which was forbidden. The boy cousin claimed he saw a rat, which made the baby cousin scream. They crouched behind the rose arbor with the red rose petals raining down on them. This was the beginning of it all, the curly-haired cousin realized, the time when they started to live their own lives. But she didn't say it out loud for fear they'd make fun of her. I think I said I was reading 3, but actually I'm reading 4. Sorry. Les liaisons dangereuses. All those many years later, when they were old enough for some things, the curly-haired cousin decided she would have a Christmas in July party, which she had read about in Teen Magazine. She said the red-haired cousin and the baby cousin could come if they helped out with decorating the basement, even though their mother called down the stairs that they were too young and also they better clean up their mess. They got out the old silver Christmas tree that hadn't been used in years, and she had them put out little dishes of nuts and red hots. When she got too bossy, the red-haired cousin said she was treating them like indentured servants, and the baby cousin said she'd tell their mother, although she probably wouldn't. The curly-haired cousin just wanted everything to be nice because one of the 2 boys from school with the same name were coming, and she had a plan that when a certain song was played, she would say casually that it was such a good song and it would be a pity not to dance. She had practiced this in front of her mirror, holding a pen like it was a cigarette, and no one was going to stop her, including her sisters. The boy cousin was away at military school, and so he didn't figure into it at all. When everyone who was coming, the oldest cousin came with her college boyfriend and her sister with the other boy with the same name, who she liked because he had a parrot. Their mother called down the stairs that under no circumstances was anyone to smoke, although they were already smoking, because the oldest cousin had brought a pack of Winstons. The red-haired cousin had learned to French inhale and was trying to teach the baby cousin, which made her cough. The oldest cousin's boyfriend had grown a beard, which he kept stroking, the red-haired cousin said, as if he had a kitten on his chin. When everyone who was coming had come, they turned the music up loud, and some people danced while the silver tree twinkled. The boy with the parrot tried to kiss the oldest cousin's sister, but she ducked away from him. The oldest cousin's boyfriend was telling the baby cousin about Che Guevara and how he was rather misunderstood. The certain song came on, and the curly hair cousin stood by the one boy with the same name and said, "Wouldn't it be a pity?" And he said, "What?" And then she just said she wanted to dance, so they did. Their mother called down the stairs that she might come down at any time at all, but she didn't. The sister left with someone who played rugby instead of the other boy with the same name. He died some years after that, and someone else took in his parrot because they live rather a long time. Thanks.
Oh my gosh, those stories were so perfect together as a set. Oh, I love the world of the cousins. Totally mesmerizing. We were just totally thrust into their lives. And I love how you make us see the world the way they do. Thank you so much, Mary. It was such an honor to have you here with us at the Prose Garden. All right, well, last up today, it's day for you, it's night for me, is Jeff Friedman. Jeff Friedman has published 10 collections of poetry and prose. His work has appeared in American Poetry Review, 4 successive times in Best Microfiction and the New Republic. He has received an NEA Literature Translation Fellowship and numerous other awards. His new book, Broken Signals, will be published by Bamboo Dart Press in August 2024. Welcome, Jeff Friedman.
Thank you, Meg, and thank you, Francine, for inviting me to read at Prose Garden. This has been a wonderful reading. Everybody's just done some great work, and I'm just kind of stunned at how good the work is. I kind of feel like after watching days of the Republican convention that we should be able to have our own fake news. So I'm going to start out by saying that this next piece that I'm going to read, My Mother's Dress Shop, won the Nobel Prize in 2024, but they told me not to announce it till after I'm dead. So please don't repeat that, because again, it's not supposed to get out there. But so I'm going to start out reading this. This is my mother had this is true. My mother had a dress shop in the Midtown St. Louis, and it used to get robbed. Very small dress shop. It used to get robbed about once a week. But I worked down there as a teenager, and I would help to unload trucks and to break down the cardboard boxes they came in and stuff them in the dumpster. This piece appeared in Best Microfiction. Thanks to Gary and Meg for that. My Mother's Dress Shop. Break down the boxes that held the clothing and stuff them into the dumpster in the alley behind the shop. Break down the racks that held the sexy dresses, the leather coats, the French lingerie, until they are just rods and wheels lying in a corner. Fold up the clothing neatly. Break down the counter, the shelves, and the cash register empty of cash. Break down the shadows that no longer hold voices. Break down the light that drops through the window like a message until it is just a scrap of light. Break down the dust that clings to the walls and counters your mother attacks with a cloth and Windex. Break down the mannequins until they are disconnected limbs, head, and torso. Now there is only the memory of a memory, the striped cat leaping on the counter, its tail ticking back and forth. The nurses in white uniforms peeking in the windows of air to spot a skirt or blouse on sale. Your mother's voice coming back to you like the smells of a fresh cinnamon sweet roll and steaming black coffee, and the blaze of sun that makes it impossible to see. That's the first piece in my new book, Broken Signals. I'm going to read some pieces from my previous book called Ashes in Paradise, published by Mad Hat Press just recently. Well, not just recently, back in November, but that seems just like recently. The first one is called The Boy with Holes. The officers who shot the boy repeatedly watched him fall face first, his arms and legs jerking until all movement ceased. They kept their distance, holstering their weapons, sure that it was all over. But the boy rose, his sweet face dirt-stained, He walked slowly toward the officers. Light poked through the holes in his body. The ground was wet with blood. They stepped back and took out their weapons again. I've never seen anything like this before, one officer said. The other agreed. Though they told him to stop and get down on his knees, the boy kept walking until he stood so close he touched one officer on the arm. Like a breath grazing the skin, his hand felt weightless. The officer cocked his gun and held it to the boy's head. Crows gathered around them. The trees rustled. The red sun flared so intensely they had to squint to see his shape. And then the boy vanished. Now all they could see were the holes. And I'm going to read another piece about, we've been in this age of distorted reality and fake news and false truth. And I've been writing a lot of pieces about this, so I'm just going to read one of them. This is called The Last Truth. One truth was shot while it sat in a cafe, sipping an Americano and writing its memoir. Another truth rose up on a stage and protested the swarm of lies that had descended on the town, clinging to heads and faces or flying down throats. The mob rushed the stage, pummeling this truth until it fell beneath them. They kicked and stomped it to death. Another truth was tortured until it confessed it was a lie, and then the spirit left its body, and only emptiness resided inside it. Many truths were burned in the public square as they screamed, "I'm telling the truth." We collected their ashes and bone in an urn, tried to bring them back to life with spells and chants, but our words had lost their belief in the power to summon. And the last truth, hiding for months in abandoned buildings, escaped into the forest. When it returned years later, no one recognized it or believed what it was saying. And then I'm going to read a sequence of 73 short poems, all 350 lines apiece. I'll read them fast. No, I'm just going to finish on a very light piece. I used to be a big fan of Paul Newman's when I was growing up. I think partially because I'm Jewish and he was at least half Jewish. So I'm going to read, I remained a fan of his all throughout his career. And I think I saw every movie he was ever in. Anyway, this one's called Newman's Own. My lover thought I was Paul Newman, which is probably why she became my lover. One night in bed, I told her the truth. I'm not Paul Newman. She started to laugh. You're a joker, all right, she said. No, really, I said. Paul Newman has blue eyes that are clear as skies. I've got dark, beady brown eyes, Hungarian eyes. He has a square jaw, and I have a weak chin hidden by my beard. I never made love to Liz Taylor or Dominique Sanda or Joanna Woodward, and I don't drink 2 6-packs in 2 months, let alone 2 hours. Well, she said, your tomato sauce is pretty good. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It was great having you here. Wonderful readings. Well, thanks so much, everybody. This has been amazing. I will now hand it back to Francine.
Thank you, Meg. And I just want to say this has been on this anniversary of the moon landing, just an evening of stars. We heard from Swetha Amit, Kathryn Silver-Hajo, Gary Fincke, Julia Strayer, Daniel Addercouth, Kalliopy Paleos, Mary Grimm, and Jeff Friedman. And, I just want to parenthetically say that when Meg and I are curating the readers for their Prose Garden, we like to have a mix of established readers, of course, but also some new voices. But the common denominator is, are you good? Okay, that's really the bottom line there. So I think we came through on that tonight. Yeah, everybody was damn good. And we're just honored that they agreed to read for us. And thank you, everyone, for coming to the Prose Garden, everyone in the Zoom room and everyone listening in the second life of the recording. And we'll be back, myself, Francine Witte, here in New York City, Meg Pokrass in the UK. And thank you so much from the Prose Garden, and drive safely. Good night.